Hi, it's Patrick Hutzel from IntensiveCareHotline.com, where we instantly improve the lives for families of critically ill patients in intensive care, so that you can make informed decisions, have peace of mind, real power, real control, and so that you can influence decision making fast, even if you're not a doctor or a nurse in intensive care. This is another episode of Your Questions Answered, and in last week's episode I answered another question from one of our readers, and the question last week was: my 84-year-old dad has been in ICU for 3 months. He's ventilated with a tracheostomy. The doctors want to let him die and turn off the ventilator. We want to take him home instead. What are our options? Part 1. You can check out the answer to last week's question by clicking on the link below this video. In this week's episode of Your Questions Answered, I want to answer the next question from Belinda, one of our readers, and the question this week is Part 2 of my 84-year-old dad has been in ICU for 3 months. He's ventilated with a tracheostomy. The doctors want to let him die and turn off the ventilator. We want to take him home instead. What are our options? This series of questions are excerpts from a few one-on-one phone and Skype counseling and consulting sessions and a series of email counseling and consulting. So Belinda describes her father's situation in intensive care as follows. Hi Patrick. Thank you, Patrick, for your time on the phone on Tuesday. Since we last spoke, my father got low blood pressure, and as soon as he gets moved only by the slightest bit, he desaturates. Desaturation means that he's got low oxygenation. So for now he's too fragile to be moved. Since then they move him very carefully. So I hope they don't start again tomorrow with trying to move him too much. Yesterday they started talking about taking my dad to a hospice, and he is suffering what we are waiting for because we still want him at home. He's very weak, but he doesn't look like he's suffering and he's not in any pain. They try to talk to all of us in a different form of taking him off the ventilator. He's still on 70% of oxygen on the ventilator. We don't believe in that at all, and we could not live with it, so we are hanging in there that his health turns around and improves. We really feel pressured to agree to something that we believe will kill our father, and we are not ready for it. They're now talking about sending him to hospice after they have taken off ventilation and the tracheostomy. It sounds very cruel to us, and we don't want it. They basically want to get rid of us, and our goal is still home care with continued treatment. But they now say he's too fragile from what I believe. They put him on another set of antibiotics as they believe he's got sepsis again. But my dad is now getting weaker, and we'll see if the antibiotics work. But we simply don't believe in turning off the ventilator as he's still fighting. I guess no other long-term care facility will take him, and we want to stay in the ICU for now because he needs ICU care. Either he'll improve and we take him home, or he only has a chance with ICU treatment to get over it. At any longevity he won't survive. What do you think are his chances in ICU to survive whilst he remains that fragile with sepsis and low blood pressure? Thanks, from Belinda. So here's my response. Hi Belinda. Thanks for clarifying your father's situation, and thanks for the update. If he has low blood pressure and if he desaturates, he certainly needs ICU care and treatment. Also, with your dad's high oxygen requirements of 70%, it doesn't surprise me that he desaturates quickly when being moved. With his low blood pressure, which also stands for hypotension, they would have started him on inotropes or vasopressors to manage his low blood pressure. With low blood pressure or hypotension during sepsis, he might also get an increased amount of IV fluid such as albumin 5% or gelofuscin to improve his fluid status and also increase his blood pressure. If they haven't, you may want to find out rather sooner than later whether they are planning to actively manage your dad's low blood pressure or not. If they don't actively manage your dad's low blood pressure with inotropes or vasopressors as well as intravenous fluids, it could be part of their plan to withdraw treatment that they still haven't formally discussed with you. It's nothing uncommon that they continue to try and talk you into taking your father off life support. They have their hidden agenda, and we have spoken about this a couple of days ago, and thankfully you are very clear in what you want. Don't retreat from that. Again, you should clearly continue objecting a withdrawal of treatment if this is what you feel is the right thing to do. If they actively manage your dad's low blood pressure with medications, they are being proactive and they are doing the right thing. By giving antibiotics, they are actively treating him at least for an infection and the sepsis. The infection or the sepsis is most likely also leading to your dad's low blood pressure. They would also need to look at finding a source of the infection, and they need to send a sputum sample of his chest. They need to culture his blood as well as taking a urine sample. By doing that, there is a chance that they may find a source of the sepsis. There is a good chance that your dad has a chest infection or pneumonia if he's still requiring 70% of oxygen on the ventilator. Of course, no long-term care facility will be taking your dad if he's fragile and in need of ICU care and treatment. Long-term care facilities are usually for medically stable intensive care patients with ventilator and tracheostomy needs. Your dad is not medically stable at present, not with low blood pressure, inotropes or vasopressors, sepsis and 70% of oxygen on the ventilator. As long as he's as fragile as you describe, he certainly needs ICU treatment. As soon as he's over the sepsis and he's off inotropes and the vasopressors, he could go home with a service like intensive care at home. The question you may want to ask yourself, your family and your dad in the next few days might be that if your dad isn't improving, if you want to take him home for palliative care. Have you had chance to look into taking your dad home as well? And if so, are there any services available in your area, and or are you prepared to take this step? I know it can be overwhelming into making all these decisions. However, you have been remarkably brave and strong so far, and I'm sure you continue to do so. But it definitely sounds to me like you are not prepared to give up lightly. As long as your father is not unduly suffering, you need to continue to fight for what you believe in. Please let me know if you have any more questions, and you can always give me a call. Take care. So, how can you become the best advocate for your critically ill loved one, make informed decisions, get peace of mind, control power and influence quickly whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care? You get to that all-important feeling of making informed decisions, get peace of mind, control power and influence when you download your free Instant Impact Report now by entering your email below. In your free Instant Impact Report, you learn quickly how to make informed decisions, get peace of mind, real power and real control, and how you can influence decision making fast whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. Your free Instant Impact Report gives you in-depth insight that you must know whilst your loved one is critically ill or is even dying in intensive care. Sign up and download your free Instant Impact Report now by entering your email below. In your free Instant Impact report, you learn how to speak the secret intensive care language so that the doctors and the nurses know straight away that you are an insider and that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care. In your free report, you will also discover how to ask the doctors and the nurses the right questions, discover the many competing interests in intensive care and how your critically ill loved one's treatment may depend on those competing interests, how to eliminate fear, frustration, stress, struggle and vulnerability even if your loved one is dying. You get 5 mind-blowing tips and strategies helping you to get on the right path to making informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power and influence in your situation. You'll get real-world examples that you can easily adapt to your and your critically ill loved one's situation. How to stop being intimidated by the intensive care team and how you will be seen as equals. You'll get crucial behind-the-scenes insight so that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care and how you need to manage doctors and nurses in intensive care, and it's not what you think. Thank you for tuning into this week's Your Questions Answered episode, and I'll see you again next week in another update. Make sure you also check out our blog section for more tips and strategies, or simply send me an email to support@intensivecarehotline.com with your questions. Or you can call me, find the international phone numbers on our contacts tab. Also, check out our ebook section where you get more ebooks, videos and audio recordings, and where you can also get one-on-one counseling and consulting with me via Skype, over the phone or via email by clicking on the products. This is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecarehotline.com, and I'll see you again next week in another update.